All right. So who wants to go first here? Yeah, Raj. Okay. Between your two characters, should I pick one to talk about?
Uh, yeah, either one.
Or which one's giving you more trouble, maybe?
I'd say the bird.
The bird person? Okay. Let's take a look here. I can see why it's giving you trouble because it's like this ragged cloth that's happening here.
Kind of having a little bit of trouble with like the values, especially in like the middle area where the longer scarf is. Yeah, it kind of gets a little muddy.
Hmm. Okay. I think part of what's muddy about it too is you're wrestling between like the color of the material versus like, the lighting that's on there, right?
Yeah.
You're like, well, the material's darker, but how do I treat that lighting? So um let me see here. Let me just start off by grabbing this, hitting Control J. That just duplicates that onto a new layer, right? And then set this on multiply. And should I work over the top of this or this one? Probably this one.
Either one is fine. I did slightly change the clothes a little bit.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, it looks like there's a slight change there.
I also just got rid of the hat.
Oh, why? Because it's too complex or what?
I felt like it was kind of clashing with the shape of
The nose. Yeah,
it felt too similar.
okay.
But
All right. So um I could see why this cloak is giving you trouble, and a lot of it has to do with like it wasn't quite solved on the drawing side to start with. So let's just start with some basics here. Um, your your basic and humanoid figure here is fine. Um, there may be just a couple of things I would add to it, like making sure that this part gets filled in and such. Um, on your is that a scarf? What is that? The two strips coming down?
in the middle of the
Yeah, these,
yeah,
these
it's like
yeah. So at this point, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna start painting this in as if it's kind of tricky because it's also whatchamacallit, it's left but it's pointing down. So I'm thinking it should actually be shadow side on this side and then light side on the top, maybe like that. And there'd be a cut right here separating that finger. Let's come back to this sphere. Let me lighten this some more. Okay, specifically, you want me to get into maybe the cloak first?
yeah.
Okay, so let's do like a jewel thing, right? First. So if that was the dark, this is the light. And then maybe material wise, we could make it shiny or something. So there'd be like a little highlight right there. And then behind that, we could put in. So I think what you could do is maybe think of it like almost like a box or something, you know, like there's a top plane right here. and then our front and our sort of this side of it. This is the side of the box. It should just be a little bit darker, but not let's see. Let me hide just so I can see the difference. So we'll get a corner here still, right? You might actually get the side plane here a little bit as well. And the same thing will go for the other side of it. I'm just trying to break it down to like its most simplest form first. So perhaps. Oh, I think I painted in this on the wrong layer. Where's my selection tool? Yeah, I could. Control Shift J, cut that out, put it behind. There we go. And now I'll get this other side. I might end up changing my values on this, but for now, let's do it this way. And the part facing away from the light, that's going to be the darkest spot, right? But you can see what's happening here now, right, Raj?
Yeah.
I'm kind of at least breaking it down to its basics, and then you know we can add in extra shapes, but at least now I'll know what value to paint them in, right? So like if I were to continue that, it's just basically continuing that box, right? And also I would simplify a bit. I know it's kind of fun to make holes and make the cloth tattered. I would cluster it, like make like one large mass and then surrounded by a couple of little ones instead of like make every single one. Again, very similar to what I was talking about with the hair clusters. Like you don't want even on the sort of spikes coming off of it. You kind of want a large one surrounded by maybe like some small ones. So like large one, small one, that kind of thing. And then this thing on the inside, we could probably make that even darker, honestly.
What I was thinking was like the
Yeah.
color on the inside would be lighter than.
Oh, so you're talking about materials now?
Yeah.
Okay. That's where you can get really mixed up, but okay, we could try it. We can try it.
Yeah.
This is what I'll do. I'll just I'll make that material, but then I'll put in a little shadow so I can separate this from that kind of thing.
The way I approached it was,
Uh-huh.
I did the basics of put in some values for each part,
Mm-hmm.
as like local values, or was that like, way to approach it?
No, local values is good, but then you know, sometimes when the values are too close to each other, I just basically painted in a shadow on there. right, to separate it. Yeah, it's like an ambient occlusion shadow. Yeah. So what are these, so what is this right here?
Supposed to be a breastplate,
Okay,
piece of armor.
and it's like a perfectly oval thing, or what is that?
It's more triangle.
Triangular? Oh,
It's more sharp.
oh, that's a hard thing to illustrate, especially when you've got all this cloth stuff here. Like, is the cloth stuff tucked under it? Is it hanging over it? Yeah, see, I would not do that, just so you know. Well, first off, I don't think I would put the cloth stuff anywhere near that, especially if that thing's protruding forward. In terms of like, this is a game class, they're never gonna build that in geometry, because what's gonna occur is the scarf aspect of it is gonna be flopping around all over the place, and it's gonna clip right through the geometry right there.
So
Yeah, you probably want to flatten it a little bit more, or you take the little scarf stuff and you put it off to the side or something like that, so that you don't want those two elements to touch each other too much. Just so you know. I would probably flatten it a little bit more, quite honestly. Yeah, it's hard to tell from this angle, but I can kind of see what you're trying to do. But it's also not really conforming to the form of the overall torso. Like
yeah,
it's hard to tell for me from your painting here of how that's attached and how, you know, like, does it go under the arms? Does it, what is that doing exactly? I'd probably flatten it out if I was you. Um, and then, yeah, as far as these scarves go, I'd probably paint them on a separate layer here. And maybe a little darker. And now I'm gonna come in and paint in a little bit of ambient occlusion. A little bit of thickness there, like that. I'm just gonna hit Control J real quick and trying to do this faster. I'm just gonna duplicate that, and then I'm just gonna warp tool the heck out of it. Like that. Does he have some kind of a cummerbund? Like, what is that thing in the middle of his waist? Is it a belt?
supposed to be.
Okay,
It's really hard.
okay. But you can see how I've got my scarf on a separate layer here. I'll probably lift it up to the top here. And the key is just keeping things on separate layers, I think, is going to help you. You notice how I'll come in and I'll just make a selection using this lasso tool in the shape of like a cylindrical belt right here. And then I can just paint it on its own layer. Okay. So that, and a little bit of a highlight, yeah, up here. And then I can darken it or lighten it to kind of separate it afterwards. But it's very important to paint in the lighting and the form first, and then you come back and, like that. Okay. Any other aspects of this that's giving you trouble, you think? You see how like moving forwards, what you can do with this part is just to like go back over it and just paint out some of that line work now. You know?
Yeah.
And that's just part of the cleanup process at this point. But I do like the fact that you went in and did the cross contour lines on it. Because that really helped you see that it's a cylindrical form, right? Oh, there you go. I mean, basic shape wise, that's kind of there, right? You may want to maybe include like a cone or something for what this is right here, correct? Are we keeping the ponytail?
And
Yeah. So then what I would do is just kind of come in, paint that. And then I would probably paint in like a highlight too on this part. Hair can get pretty, greasy too. And that actually adds to the reflectivity of hair as well. Maybe, let's see how that's treating that as a cone, right? That, okay. That help? Pretty good? Okay. Cool. And then, yeah, you'll have to take it to next steps. Um, not as concerned about the patterns on the thing until later, but for now, just really think about the volumes. Think about like on this cape, for example, think about if this is overlapping that, it'll probably cast a shadow on it as well. You see, like that. And then we can come in and we can actually paint in all the cloth folds and stuff over it on a separate layer. Okay. But you can see how there's form here versus over here, it starts kind of getting a little bit muddy, I guess. Yeah, so let's get that form in first. Cool. Let me save. Whoa, you can actually write it versus, that's so weird. Come on. Notes. Who wants to go next? Michael? Okay. Cool. On your character, well, first off, the lighting and the forms are pretty solid, pretty good on it. I think your shadow could benefit a bit from just a slightly darker core shadow on there. So let me show you. I'm just picking the color here, and then I'm going one step a little bit darker, just a little bit. You see over here, on here it says new and then current, right? So this is the difference between my slightly darker versus what it was. Okay, hit OK, and then I'm on a separate layer right now with the soft brush, and I'm just gonna paint in your core shadow. You see how immediately it makes this other value feel like it's the fill light? You know? This part is going to be kind of cylindrical, right? But then the top of it is going to be sphere, right?
Darker.
Yeah, you can see it's kind of like a nice darker core shadow. And what that does is it really helps turn the form. It really makes it, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it kind of makes it go from 2 tones into 3 tones. And now this is starting to pop out a little bit more, you see? Here's another, maybe another right here. And it's all coming from the upper left-hand side, which is good. Now. These are cylinders and soft round shapes, right? Okay, when we get to those fists, it changes a little bit. I'll show you, okay? But let's just do all these first, right? Here. Nice little cylinder, sphere here. Cylinder. This one's tough, huh? Let's just treat it like it's a cylinder or
I
something.
was confused.
Yeah,
Is I think the shadows turn away from the lights.
yeah. Well, we'll figure out cash shadow next, but let's figure out this part first. This is away from light, under part, right? And then this will look something like that, okay? And here's a cylinder now, okay? So we covered all our soft stuff here. Now, we need 3 values in order to define our box here. The first value, I think you already nailed, and that's this one up top. It's the brightest bright because, light's coming in from above, right?
Upper,
So,
left.
yeah, so I would just kind of make that nice and bright there. The next part, right here in the front, I think what we can do is make that the medium value. Right here. That's our medium.
Definitely.
Yeah, like whatever we have for this fill light. And then the part that's facing away from the light the most, which is this plane right here. Let's make that our core shadow darker value. Right here. See? Now, looking back on this, I could probably gather like, yeah, we can maybe make this a little bit lighter. Because right now it feels a little bit too similar to our darkest value. Now that feels a lot better, I think. Okay, so let me show you another trick, okay? This is just, it's kind of a weird trick, but it seems to work. I'm gonna pick this medium color and I'm gonna go one step brighter, just a little bit, okay? You hit okay. With a small brush, I'm going to draw a line where these two meet. What I created there is what's called a bevel.
That's supposed to
Yeah, you know what a bevel is, right? It's kind of like a rounded off corner, right? It's not sharp like razor. It's like it's just rounded a little bit. And so what that'll do is it'll give you a nice little plane change right here, right? And you might even sneak some of this. Not as bright, but just a little bit brighter than what that is, okay?
Can I add the ring lights in?
Yeah, it depends on where we want to define the rim light, maybe coming from the right-hand side. Okay, well, let's finish up with the other fists first. So again, now that we kind of define, the top, I think the top is good there. Let's maybe make this one.
They're gonna make the top one too bright.
It could be, yeah, it's kind of almost white, but. And we could fix that, by the way. That's actually an easy fix. So that's also one thing I wanted y'all to keep in mind is if you make a mistake, be consistent with your mistake. Because then when you get finished, then you can tweak the whole thing very easily. If you make a mistake and then try to like readjust to account for your mistake, then you're gonna have to fix every single little thing. I'll show you what I mean by that. Okay. It's kind of funny, but it is true at the end of the day. there might be a little bit inconsistency here because remember over here, I have your light over here, but over here on your fist, it's not so bright. So there is a little bit of inconsistency that I put into there. I would make the top plane bright, and I would make the part that's facing us dark, like this part right here. Probably be dark on the right side too. And then over here, I don't know, we can maybe make that brighter, but not as bright as our top. Okay. I also think that your background color here, we can make that. Whoa, what is this?
Selection tool.
Is this the new selection tool? What the heck? I just want magic wand,
Wait, what?
old fashioned magic wand tool.
That's a.
What was that?
The big pink thing? That was like a quick mask or something. I don't know what it was. Object selection tool. Oh,
Yeah.
I can do quick selection tool. Oh, quick selection is weird too. Nah, I'm just used to the magic wand at this point. So what you can do on the magic wand is lower that tolerance down to like maybe 3. Ah, see, now I selected around your character right here. And we hit Control Shift I. And I'm just gonna jump them forward. Now I'm just gonna darken the background a little bit. It's not a perfect selection, but this is the only way I can actually show the rim light if the background was a little bit darker, you know? You know what I mean? Okay, so but now we can come in and paint in that rim light. And what I would do, something like that. And go on a brand new layer. Yeah, come in and paint in. There's a lot of back and forth, so you all know between what's a backlight versus what a rim light is. I think a rim light is actually a little bit off to the side as opposed to like, you know, completely behind. You might not get the rim light on the left-hand side there, but you can get it on the right-hand side in the shadow. Maybe a little bit there. Maybe a little bit on that elbow. But you could kind of see before, after, you know, on the rim light. Okay. So, yeah, I think that's kind of where I'll leave this. Oh yeah, I mentioned to you that it's very easy to fix this, you know, when you said like, oh, I think I went too bright,
No.
right?
Yeah.
So let me show you how you can just fix it. This is where I was saying, like, if you're gonna make a mistake, just be consistent with your mistake, because then you can change everything all at once. So let me show you. I'm just gonna I'll take the thing that I just painted in here and make all this stuff a clipping mask, right? And I'm gonna make a brand new layer, and I'm just gonna darken the whole dang thing on this new layer. So what I'll do is I'll make like this gray color, set this on multiply. So multiply, what it does is it just darkens everything that's under it. Okay. So if you paint the color white, pure white on multiply, you get nothing because white doesn't darken anything. But if you paint like a little bit of like this medium gray right here, and I put a gradient on there, see how that'll just darken everything down a little bit. See that? So before, after, before, after. So now it's all kind of a little bit, you know, more consistent. Okay. Like that. Cool. And then if you want, you could come back and go like, no, but I do want like this highlight here just for the very top right there. Like say for example, he's wearing a shiny helmet, you know? Yeah, I want that part to be super bright and this part to be like a cylinder, right? That shoulder I want to be super bright. I don't know. It's hard to see on your monitor, isn't it? Let me go one more swipe down. See, now you can see it. Kind of looks like Iron Man. Yeah. That help, Michael? Okay, let me
Use a grading tools.
yeah, the gradient tools. Again, set it on classic gradient, make it go from foreground to checkerboard, which is transparent. Okay. And then what you want to do is on opacity, you want to set the opacity from 100%. You want to set that down to about 20%. Okay.
This one.
And then you can just swipe, you know. So I use this all the time. Like another helpful thing, like for our homework, for example. You know, if I set a new layer onto overlay and I just pick a color like that, using this gradient tool, I can actually just, you know, tint everything, you know. Whoa, everything's so sticky right now with my hotkeys. But yeah, something like that. And if I want to just isolate it just to that, I'll just clip mask it, right? Only to this character. And immediately you're like part of the way there as you're laying for gold armor, you know? So it's a good way to tint things, you know. Back in the day when people were painting with watercolors and oil paint, what they call it glazing. Yeah. It's gonna save. I'll put all this stuff up on the G drive. Okay, so look for it on the G drive link that's part of week 4's assignment, okay?
This helped me a lot.
Yeah, great. Okay. All right, Maya, Fong. Which one? Which one do I do? Maya, you mentioned it was this character with the claw folds? Yeah. Okay, let's take a look. By the way, get Michael to pose for you
Oh.
on this character.
I suppose.
Anyways, okay, cool. So where on the claw folds, like the pants, yeah. Yeah, it's tough. Yeah. Did you research some genes maybe?
Value I'm kind of lost.
Mm-hmm.
I see a lot of references that are drawings, but not painted with the.
Okay. Well, let me take a stab at it. I'm not guaranteeing that I'm gonna be perfect, but let's just try it. I'm gonna follow a lot of your drawing here on this character on the left as sort of a basis for this, okay? So first off, I'm just gonna Control J. And I'm gonna get rid of all the gray stuff in the background here. Delete. And I'm gonna hit levels, which is Control L. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just brightening this up in contrast so that all I get at the end is kind of more of a black and white image. And then I'm just gonna desaturate that. And so now I've got a black and white image of this character, right? Gonna set this on multiply and then overlay over the top of, oh, is he a little bigger? You think I can shrink it and get it to about, yeah? It works. I'll approximate. And then what I'll do is I'll just lower the opacity here. That way I can kind of see where you want the folds to go, okay? So this first one, so the tricky part about this is you're gonna paint in like a cylinder, but then on either end of the cylinder, you're gonna fade it, which means you're gonna like paint something in, and then you're gonna use a soft brush on an eraser and just kind of blend it, okay? So let me show you. Like that. And this is my dark value right here. I'm just gonna paint it all that dark value first. And then I'm gonna paint in sort of a medium value. Like that. It's so weird. I'm sorry if this is weird looking, but. But then I'm going to come back in and I'm just gonna, with a soft brush on the eraser, just blend this back into the jeans. And it's probably not gonna get as bright on this side as it will, like, as it kind of rounds that corner on the cylinder. But you can see how that immediately kind of looks like a clawfold once you fade it, right? And so you just kind of keep doing this. And actually this next fold would actually come from the same origin point. And so I'm gonna do it like this. And then the medium value. And then the brightest value here. And then this part where, you know, where the bright value kind of meets the pant leg there. This is where I come back and soften it. So what's kind of neat about this technique, Maya, is you get both your hard and soft edges under control this way, right? You start off by painting everything a hard edge, and then you come back with a soft eraser, and that helps you kind of blend from your hard edge to a soft edge. And otherwise it could look, well, it could look weird. Could look like he's got I don't know, chopsticks or something around there. But then once you kind of blend it into the cloth, it kind of works. All right. Now, it still kind of feels like very tight jeans, I gotta say, when I'm looking at it like this. And so you could probably come back and just kind of blend it a little bit less tight, I guess. You know? And that's me taking sort of that medium value and just painting it back so that it's not as tight. But just enough where now I'm starting to get this. And it might actually start affecting your highlight here, right? Like maybe this part kind of blends in and now we're kind of creating this that kind of feel, right? Where you could kind of see this wrap around kind of towards the knee, right? And then let's do the part underneath the knee here too. This is kind of tricky because I think a couple of things happen. Let me see if I can find an example first. I always got to check, you know, um, jeans, men. Yeah, here it is. And I want to look at the bent knee aspect of it, right? Because that's a bent knee. So see if we could find oh, that's a nice one. See that? So it almost seems like when it bent, it gave a lot of slack here. And then this other part kind of wrinkled up against it. But there's still the knee, this part in the knee as the central point. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna copy that image and paste it and flip this. I just need it for reference. I trust the reference more than I trust my own knowledge. And all these little wrinkles, we probably can ignore those. Again, we're still stylizing a little bit. But this part right here is really interesting. So it's almost like it created a little pocket or something. Can I paint on this layer? Yeah. Let's paint the whole darn thing dark first. And we'll come back. And then this inside, I'm just gonna make this dark. think from here I could just kind of blend it, not even with erasing it back out. I'm just gonna blend it with the brush. Let me hide your drawing just so I can get a better sense. The key here too, Maya, is when you're painting like this, not to make the wrinkles all the same, you know, brush stroke thickness, which means cutting back in will give you kind of this variation on this wrinkle and the size of the wrinkle, you know? I think I'm not gonna focus on the wrinkles coming in from the inside as much as you did on your initial thought, but I'm gonna focus it on this point where the knee bends right here. Actually, I'm just gonna leave that reference right there for you to look at later, because I think that's giving you a lot of the answers right now, right? You got one straight pant leg and then one bent pant leg. And then all these wrinkles down here, you know, what does that give you? I'd probably simplify it a little bit. Like maybe it doesn't need to have that many layers to it. But you could kind of see we're kind of getting there, right? With this kind of painting. Okay. I guess the same would go with the shirt as well. So this is a tricky part right here, because your shirt is so bright right now. So I think what I'll do is I'll reduce down the brightness of the shirt a little bit, at least on this bottom part. I'm just gonna make a selection right now. And that'll also help us because it'll help us separate the shirt from the pants. Like that. And that gives me a little bit of wiggle room to work with as far as when it comes to light and dark. Maybe the wrinkles on the shirt are maybe they're more like planes. I don't know. I'll have to see. Control Shift I. I just inverse selected, and then this will give me basically the opposite of what I just selected. And that's too harsh of a bend. Doesn't look like cloth. So have to soften that a little bit. One thing also to keep in mind, Maya, is as this rounds the corner here, it needs to kind of curve a little bit. You get what I mean? Like it's still wrapping itself around a cylinder, so So you want to make sure it kind of curves around a bit. Doesn't just go perpendicular. So. Something like that. Hope that helps. Getting closer to it for sure. Let me take this out. Those notes. Well, which of these two characters do you think?
I always have a problem with letting the, what's it called, my protagonist.
This
armor.
guy?
Yeah,
Yeah, that armor. This is that kind of armor that Raj, you wanted. See how like this armor comes to a point right here? Like that, you know.
also, I didn't get to draw the clothes on him, but also I feel like, I drew it more like jeans instead of like canvas. And I was
Mm.
like gonna ask him like how to, I guess like do that different material.
What do you think is the difference between jeans versus kind of a canvasy,
I feel
like is one thicker or is one?
Yeah, I feel like canvas, it tends to have like, I guess like bigger like shapes in terms of like, the folds.
Okay,
Um. But like, I'm not quite sure how to like. specify.
when I think about sort of canvasy, yeah, I guess it's stiffer and it's, I don't know. It's similar enough to me, but hard for me to tell, but, let's just start off with the, armor. Now, we're not quite getting into materials yet, but if you wanted to, we could. And this kind of, okay, so what you've got currently is, it's just a very, sharp point. But I think what it actually is it's actually, if I were to look, if I were to draw this from a top-down foot, I think it'd be more like it's round, but then it comes to a point, kind of like that. Instead of like straight line, straight line. You know what I mean? I think there's still a little bit of curvature to this. And so I think we could put that back in here. And that's gonna make a big difference as far as our values on this armor. Okay. Because having somewhat of a curve to it, like we're still gonna make the front part, this front bevel, our highlight.
Mhm.
But having this part kind of be a nice curvature to it, it'll help us kind of go a little bit more medium tone, a little bit darker. Our medium tone. And then we'll get like a nice, maybe around here-ish, softer highlight over here.
For the armor, I kind of have it like 4 planes. Do you think it'd just be better if I simplified it to 2?
Oh, what do you mean by 4? Oh, you have like facets down there? Yeah, just 2
Okay,
and the lines are curved,
alright.
you know. You could kind of see what I'm doing right now. And here's the other aspect to make armor feel more metallic, or any object feel more metallic, is your gradients are going to be a little bit harsher, right? So, for example, you'll get aspects like that, where it's butted right up against that. Oh, I see what you meant by 4 planes, like there's a top and, yeah. I don't know. I think two may be fine.
Okay.
There'll just be a curve or something here. Be more like that, I guess. And there may be another. But you could see that starts feeling more metallic.
Yeah.
And I kept this kind of bevel in here just so that we could tell like this front part, that's a sharp part. And what'll really help actually is not necessarily a plane change, but something that helps us define like what the edges are. Like this part right here. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
some curvature. I think this is what's gonna really help sell. When you go into the detailing part of your character, is what's gonna make it feel like armor, and also the thickness to it too. Because right now we're not quite thick on the armor yet. Something like this, right? Then when we get to the outside, this part's gonna have to stick out a little bit. That. Cool. There's gonna be a cast shadow here. There's that armor. Now, as far as the canvas stuff goes, I think it's very similar to kind of what I was showing Maya. But I don't know, let's take a look at canvas pants. I don't think I've ever worn canvas pants. Okay, these just look like khakis to me. Let's see.
If you search up like,
Cargo work pants?
it's like the medieval canvas pants, it's like a lot like that, like.
Oh, okay. Medieval. You're gonna have to go to a Ren fair.
I have medieval canvas pants myself, but I'm not tall enough to where the folds will look right. So that's the only reason why I can't reference myself.
Canvas trousers, maybe. Medieval,
Like, I'm
no.
like this skinny.
Oh gosh. Okay. Let's just call them medieval pants. Okay. What's cool about this materials is it actually looks thinner to me, actually. It looks like sweatpants almost. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I may be looking up the wrong thing, but let's see. That material actually looks kind of thin to me in comparison with jeans. I think you could get away with maybe like that.
Yeah.
You know what you could get away with is joggers. You know, a lot of times joggers will taper on the shin area. Let's take a look. You'll come to realize that I rely so much on reference, and it's not a sign of weakness, it's just research. You know, it's just part of the job. Ah, dang it. How do I just like that copy image? I think all it is that silhouette shape funk,
Mhm.
you know, just making it baggier, that's all. Cause I'm not seeing too much of a difference here between what you have versus what this is, other than the fact that this feels baggier. And maybe the top of it has different folds. So these folds coming off the top of it, those are called pipe folds. They're basically like a series of cylinders, right? They're the kind of folds that you see on curtains that are hanging. You know, they kind of look like pipes. So if you wanted to, you could actually add that into it. And what that would mean, also think about this too. You see how you have, this is what makes it look like jeans, right?
Yeah.
Where the crotch has this like pinch here where there's a, basically it gets tighter around here, right? Whereas in a lot of these medieval pants, it's so loose around here, right? That there's there's not much of a fold over there. So the points of stress are around the waist and maybe down here, right? So I don't know. Let me paint over this, see what I can get from it. I'm not gonna go off of your drawing just because I'm gonna change the shape of it. But it'll probably be, I don't know, like this. And it feels like well, it actually feels like it goes under the knee, right? Goes like right after that is the shins. I'm just painting this stuff out now. And here's the important part that you'll notice that would be a difference between the way I paint and a lot of students paint is I know that this is going to turn into sort of a thinner line. So as I paint, I'm pushing my bracket keys on my brush so that it shrinks down and that way I get this nice shape, right? Um, a lot of times when I see people paint, they go like that, and then it's just this like even size, right? Well, you can do that as long as you come back in and you cut back into that shape, right? Then you can get away with that. See how I'm just copying that for now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, how long is this would be them? Would you call it the folds from like the top going down?
Yeah, so a lot of this stuff, actually, you're missing a lot of the anatomy of the sort of this crotch area because of it. It'll probably look more like this at the end of the day, you know? And then you've got your pipe folds that are your wrinkles, which will look something like this. But you still gotta think about it like a cylinder. So the left side is the shadow, the right side is the light. You see, like that. Right before it, enters the shadow again. So then left side, right side's the light. And then, we got basically little cylinders. Once you get a couple of these, you could probably, oh shoot, dang it, Control J. Yeah, get a couple of these, you can kind of, And I would mess around with this shape a little bit. Just erase this out. Boom, like that. And that's probably too much, so meaning like too much contrast. So I'll come back and I'll just tone it down a little bit. And it'll just blend right back in, right, like that. Looking better, I
Yeah,
think,
honestly, that'd be-
yeah, something like that. So yeah, do the same with this other side,
Mhm.
you know, change up the shape. And just kind of see, like, notice how, you know, now you're seeing it, right?
Yeah.
These are like cylinders, right? That are kind of wrapping and tapering and things like that. So really make it go around that corner if you can. Save.
Yeah, take a quick look at my goblet. too, just the-
Oh, Goblin. Okay. Wait, what time is this class over? 5:30. Okay, so we got 30 more minutes.
You don't have to like click the whole thing. So.
Let's take a look. Because Colleen needs feedback. It's okay. Wait. Dang it. Gotta find it again. What was it called? I wish this would just give me a preview, dang it. Wall card right here. Yeah, there you go. It looks all right. Let's see. I think you're just kind of missing a little bit of the this little flap that's right here. Right. Paint that in. And this has thickness to it, which means, you know,
Double.
yeah, it's gonna have like a light and dark side to it. Like basically the side plane's gonna get lit on that. Erase this part. Let's see, anything else? Okay, so what's gonna give you trouble, Fong, is when you get to the eyes here, you've got a very graphic, like the thing I was talking about with the stickers for the eyes. And I think what you're gonna have to do in the future, let's see if I can.
I was going to like redraw the eyes completely.
Yeah, you're gonna have to figure out like what is the geometric, you know, nature of that, you know, with the sphere for an eye and then the eyelids going around it. So something that you'll have to figure out. It's taking forever. Go Control J. Override. Multiply. Can't have one without the other. I just wanted to know where the eye was going to be, so out here. I'm tracing. And we've got this. You may want to draw that last because that's going to mess you up.
Multiple.
Yeah. All right, so Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of the monocle for now. So what you're indicating here is there's probably gonna be. Just gonna lighten that a little bit. It's gonna be a sphere right here. For this eyeball, right? So we indicate that. Here's the shadow right there. And then there's like a mid-tone. And then we've got our eyelid over the top of this. So. Have a tendency to make people's eyes look Asian just because every portrait's a self-portrait. Trying to figure out, what that eyelid is. It's basically just wrapping around the sphere right here, right? But then your sphere is gonna have to have like your iris here. We'll put a shadow in here. And then what's that bottom lid gonna do? It's gonna have a highlight.
So real, it's gonna scare
I didn't expect it.
me.
Watching a Star Trek episode where everybody in the crew, they had like all their imaginations are coming to life because they're encountering some alien species that takes the form of their imagination. And this guy, his daughter's like, reading about Rumpelstiltskin. And the character like this is very much like that, just suddenly shows up, fully realize I am Rumpelstiltskin. But you get what I mean? Like it's immediately kind of got this and then like a little dot usually right here for the tear duct. I don't know if y'all know the concept artist Dave Raposa. Have any of you heard of this person? He it's like he got famous for doing this kind of thing for a living. I'll show you.
Making realistic stuff.
Yeah, he'll take like an 80s cartoon character and make them super realistic. But you can kind of see where we're going from here, right? Like that. Yeah. Oh. Before we go to Colleen's, let's show you Dave Raposa. So yeah, he'll paint like a Ninja Turtle, but super hyper realistic, right? Like
Wow. That's so
It's a little scary.
it does. It's like now they're real. There's Tetsuo from Akira. Here's the Shredder.
He also did guts.
Yeah. Although he's still kind of stylized, but yeah, here's Merman from He-Man. But I love how realistic these paintings are.
And does he draw things like Quincy Fox?
I think he's painting, he might get some reference, but I think, like, for example, here, that really feels like he got somebody to pose for him, right? Um, but he does exaggerate, like the shape of this person's head is exaggerated. They're pretty cool paintings. I like it. Here's Bebop. Yeah. We just, yeah, I could Splinter. And just watch this stuff all day long.
I follow this guy on Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great. But anyways, yeah. But it's funny to see that happen with your own creation, I guess.
Yeah, that was a little.
It's like when you see those lips fully rendered, that's where they kind of weird. Really, really cool. Cool artwork. Any case, hey, sometimes we need a little bit of a commercial break from all this demoing. But you can see how I would approach all that stuff. Let me just save this out and you'll at least have an eye. Just yeah, you're like, which part of your painting do you like? Yeah. All right, this is so light, Colleen. Is that just how you draw?
It was, oh, what was doctor on my screen?
Oh, okay. Because I'm just
It's
okay.
like that.
Okay, good. I would say approach it first like it's a mannequin figure. Obviously, let's darken this background first, right? Don't paint over white. I saw in some of the students' homework assignments, they painted over white and it was immediately apparent like, oh, they're gonna have some problems with it. But I think the head, you could just, okay, if you can just be advanced in treating it like a sphere, but knowing that it kind of comes to a cone for the chin, then you can just paint that in, right? All that's left here is to determine which direction the lighting should be coming from. So where do you want it? The right, the left? The right, okay. So I'm just gonna start off with a darker value. I'm just gonna paint in kind of a darker value. Now I'm gonna paint in a light value. That. And then I'm gonna pick this darker value and go one step lighter so that I can get a fill light across this thing. Like that, right? And so you can kind of just use this to, paint this. And then, I don't know, I think we need one brighter value right here. Then it starts popping, I think. Like that. Cool. And what is the neck? The neck is a cylinder. So what if I gave you all in another assignment, but now the light's coming from below or something like that? Would that just confuse everybody all of a sudden? It'd be, I mean, the logic is the same, but you just have to think differently.
The scary character is gonna be even scarier with that.
Exactly, right?
Even do it, I'll say like Photoshop, yeah. With video, you could auto generate where the light is coming from.
Really?
So it would automatically shadow.
Okay. Well, somebody try it and then teach me. I've played around with stuff like that in the past where Photoshop had this thing that it kind of mimics this kind of stuff.
Like it doesn't do it perfectly, but
Yeah.
it gives you a good idea of where to start.
Yeah, I've seen it where you just put a bunch of flat shapes on there and it'll just start showing you, you know, how it would look lit in 3D. But I don't know if it can define like the difference between a cube and a pillowy square. Or you know what I mean? But somebody try it. Somebody show me. But you can see how I'm painting this character in, right? How, you know. And the same thing goes here, calling for the pants as well. Right. This is what, a cylinder? So you're talking about the the iron, the starchy iron one? Oh, this part up here. Okay, first off, simplify the heck out of it, at least at the beginning, and then figure out all the folds afterwards. Okay. This is like the number one mistake I've seen in a lot of artists is you get so caught up in the detail of it that it can actually hurt the overall read. So let's just start off here. And all I want are, how would you describe this? Like, they're like animal balloons wrapped around around her waist, right? Like, so if I take that line work out, my point is start off simple and then get to the complicated part. And also try not to get too caught up in the materials. I think Raj, that was giving you trouble, is the materials, you know, oh well, that's a darker color. Well, pretend like it's made out of clay first.
Yeah.
You know, like pretend like everything's made out of the same material first. And just let's just paint that form in and then we'll figure out the
I also kind of skipped about making a shape.
Yeah.
Straight up paint.
no, don't do that.
Yeah, that's why.
Make make this as a, like, see how nice and crisp my edges are, whereas on your brush strokes it's just, you know, like there's like no control on the edge. But if you make the shape first, like how I'm doing it here, you can actually control that edge control on the shape. And I'm not painting any differently, it's just I have the selection around it, right? That I can work off of. But Colleen, you're seeing what I'm doing here, right? And then we'll come in and tweak it afterwards, but you kind of need to start off with this. Otherwise, you're gonna be so confused.
I was trying to be like super geometric and like found this something like over the process and
Mm-hmm. See that? And then you could maybe come in and go like, what was it? This is the fill light. You know, that's all, right? But then when you come back and go like, okay, now I want little folds and stuff like that, you just paint over it. And then you just blend it into the big overall shape, you know? That, because sometimes what I notice too is say for example, you've got you've got this cylinder, right? This torso is a cylinder overall. And this, I'll show you where I make the mistake here. Let's say, for example, this whole torso here, this waist area, it needs to be treated like a cylinder. And I don't know exactly like at what point the light meets the shadow, maybe the middle right here. Or right there. Actually, right there would be great because she's got this like she does yoga or something, like she's got a ab workout going. So you can actually have that definition going to the belly button. And then over here I've got my fill light here, right? Let's go a little darker with this. All right. So can anybody tell me where my mistake lies with the sweater that's wrapped around her waist? Anybody? Well, the highlight on the left-hand side is in the shadow side of that cylinder. Is that correct? So that part should actually be darker. Yeah, exactly. You know, but also even within the form of it, like it should, yeah, so this left side here, right? If I were to make a new layer, clip mask on it, I should probably go something more like this, and then also have like a darker cast shadow down here. If I can, I don't know. Let's see. You get what I mean? So now it's actually wrapping around the form a little better. Because this side on the right-hand side actually gets hit with more light. And that part on the left-hand side does not get hit with as much light. All right. So this is why you need the big forms first. And then you go after the smaller forms afterwards. Okay. That feels a little bit more correct now. Let me save this out. Yeah, I would like on next week's assignment, I would like, even though I'm giving 2 weeks on it, let's just say y'all got 2 characters to work on. Try to take one of the characters to finish at least, so then we can talk about it. And that way, because then I'll have, you know, stuff that I can give you feedback on, right? So try to turn it in one character, fully color. Let me show you. Let's see. Assignments. Go week 4. And you're getting, you know, 10 points for this, which is a lot. So yeah, you can give me, you know, three color variations on one sheet and then 3 color variations on another one. But essentially, yeah, try to take one of your characters from that geometry to this grayscale. And if you want to, you can actually put 4 characters on the sheet, one that's grayscale, and then 3 color variations. I think I'd like to see that as well, because me you know, you notice how like every single time I look at one of these and I'm like, okay, where did it go wrong? I always take a step back, you know, so with color, it's gonna be the same thing. I'm gonna look at the color version and be like, okay, where did this go wrong? Well, let's go back to the grayscale, right? So for next week, um, do this all the way through for one of your characters at least. If you wanna, if you're like, I wanna do both of the characters, then go for it. Please do. And then, because then I'll be able to give more feedback, right? But yeah, what do y'all think? This doesn't seem as scary now that I've kind of worked over everybody's stuff. Okay,
I think the eye thing definitely seems a bit daunting, but then when you were working on it.
yeah. It's like, just make a ball and then put like an orange peel around it, and all that, yeah, we're approaching 5:30 now. I'm gonna stop recording and I think